Welcome back everybody to another fast and fun video. Rich here, and well, I've just looked at the old videos, gone back to when I last featured the Shogun Sport, and it was this time last year, so early in the new year, in January, and I thought it was about time I gave you an update on how the Shogun Sport's been performing throughout the year. It may not be particularly fast, and it may not be that fun, but it's for rural life, for everyday practicalities of dogs and horses and tip runs. Then there's nothing comes for me much better than an older Shogun Sport. So we bought the Shogun Sport in the summer of 2000. So we've had it now 2.5 years. This summer it'll be 3 years in. It's on 112,000 miles, and we bought it with 100,000 on. So in those 2.5 years we've done 12-ish thousand miles. So we're probably averaging, what, 5-ish thousand a year in it. It's pretty much used as the daily, but not for commuting. So just for, I think brilliant for rural life. If you live out in the sticks, if you live in dirty, grimy roads, if you've got dogs, we tow, so we've got a horse. So again, it's about the flexibility to drop the rear seats. You've got great for rubbish. It says great for towing. It's great for dogs. You don't mind having hay and straw in the back or animal feed. All those things. It's really the use and abused. And if it's not used daily, it's certainly used 5 or 6 days a week. So it really is a just let these cyclists go by. Being one myself. So if it's a commuter, if it's to take little Tom down to the infant and junior school, no, it's not for you. There's far better road-going SUVs for that. The Toyota RAVs and the Qashqais and all those type of sort of Japanese SUVs. If you want on-road capability, but with off-road capability built in, there's not many manufacturers that you can go to, and I think for me Mitsubishi's always been one. Land Rover probably the best, but the I've had a few, Defender, Discovery, everyone's always been problematic. So I just thought, do you know what, this is a third Shogun now. This is the first Shogun Sport, but we had 2 previous Shoguns before it. They are just so reliable. They are the Tonka toy of cars for me. And Tonka toys, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. The Tonka toys were the big ruggedised toys, diggers, that as children used to throw down the stairs, used to throw them into the garden, pretend you were digging mud out the garden, leave them out in all weathers, and the wheels would still go round, the flipping shovel would still work. Never think it'd ever break on them. And for me, that's the best way of describing this. They're not particularly pretty to look at, they're not particularly refined to drive, but reliable, yes. Robust, yes. They've got a build quality that says you can use it, you can abuse these cars, and they'll just carry on regardless. This had a service when I first bought it, but only the one service so far in 2.5 years. And what's gone wrong in 2.5 years and 12,000 miles? I had the bolt shear on the alternator belt in the first few months of owning it, which meant I lost drive, so I lost electric drive. That was a £50 replacement. And then the only other thing was in 2022, I had the steering box leaking. So that part was about 350 quid and 160 quid, I think, to fit it. So probably about a £500 fix for that. And other than that, it just gets taxed 30 quid every month to tax it, and you put diesel in and it just works, and that's it. And do you know what? I know tomorrow it'll start and the day after it'll start. And that's what I love about the Shogun Sport. Just one little tip, I think, if you are interested in one of these generation Shogun Sports, they straddle that road tax or vehicle exercise duty jump from March 2006. So if you can get one pre that date, I pay less than £30, I think, because I pay mine monthly for road tax. If it's after March 06 registration date, then it's something like 80% more, 50 something pound a month. So there's a massive jump from 300 to nearly 600. The other thing to consider with these is values. They've hit that floor a few years ago, and because they're still sought after trucks, then the values are as strong as they were. Bottom of the market's 2.5. They go upwards of 3.5, 4K for really tidy ones and lower mileage ones. I wouldn't worry about mileage, to tell you the truth, but I paid 2.5 for this 2.5 years ago. I still think it's worth 2.5 now. So that's another great bonus with these older, proper 4x4s that can go off-road. And it's never going to set your pulse racing. If you go for a test drive or you drive one for the first time, it's not a car that you just immediately fall in love with. And that's because the engine's a bit coarse, the steering's a bit vague, the plastics are all scratchy and a little bit cheap looking. But it's time with the car. You get to learn the depths of this car, and it's not about the looks or the feel or the way it drives. It's about its versatility, about its robustness, it's about its reliability. It's about how it does everything really, really well. That's important. It starts in the morning. It can go off road. It can tow. It's versatile. It's reliable. All those important things. And so it's a car that you love. For me, I love, and it becomes very, very dependent on it over time. So I've talked about on and off road ability. So what I'm going to do now is drive back home, go into one of the fields, and just give you a flavour of how capable these Shogun Sports are off road. It's such a massively versatile truck. I have to remind people that the tyres on this are close to road legal limit. So there's a couple of mils left. They're road tyres, they're not even all-terrain tyres. And the car's pulling up. It struggled a bit at the bottom, going through some of the wet stuff, but it's pulled through, just in four-wheel drive. You can't lock the diffs in these either. So it's either rear-wheel drive as standard on the road or four-wheel drive when you take it off-road or for towing. And you can go into a low ratio if you need to, which I generally don't need to. In this, four-wheel drive is nearly always enough. And this hill we've just come up is about 6 or 7%. So it's quite an aggressive hill, and it's just come up there. In this field is absolutely rain sodden. We've had 2 weather warnings for rain this week. You can see some of the footage at the bottom of the field, the puddles and the stud water. So in road tyres with little tread, to go around this field is pretty impressive. And here, just going, so almost traversing down this hill part here. And as I say, look, we're on a really steep angle here, and the way it just eats away at hills is mightily impressive. It really is. I mean, this is probably the first day, and the horses are looking at us thinking, what is this strange guy doing? So once I've got my new tyres fitted, and I think I'm going to go for all-terrain because we do some field work and we do use it on our forest tracks, etc. So it is a proper off-road vehicle, as well as on-road. I mean, still 95% of it is on-road, but it is used off-road. And I think once I get the new all-terrain tyres on, I'll probably come back in here and just show you what it's like, because it did struggle in truth at the bottom where it's very, very wet. There was a bit of slipping and stuff, but these slopes, these higher parts of the field, it's been absolutely brilliant. So I'll probably try to do another video in a few months' time once the new tyres are fitted. So there we go. Not necessarily fast, but do you know what? Incredibly fun and incredibly practical. I've learnt to love my Shogun Sport. Longer I've owned it, more I've loved this car. It's the versatility, the ability to do everything so well. Love the car, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, as always, please subscribe. Stay tuned. There'll be another video next week. And most of all, thanks for watching, guys.